And welcome back to the High School Hockey Report. My name is Sean Baligian. Kindly joining us, one of the great coaches all over the state. And, of course, a show like this wouldn't be happening without the help of the coaches. He won a couple of state titles while the head coach at Grosse Pointe North. Now he's part of really, you could say, an all-star coaching squad at Cranbrook. Let's welcome in Scott Locke. First of all, Scott, really appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming, so I'm glad I'm here.
It's interesting. Let's start with, I was only kind of half joking. The truth is, certainly, there are some guys that have been through the coaching ranks on that staff at Cranbrook. How has that worked out? Was there a period of cohesion? How has that worked out, with some of the names on that Cranbrook staff?
Yeah, the last couple of years, it's been, pretty smooth. The whole thing. Andy runs the show, myself, and Dave Runyon, we were kind of assistants. We help out. Pat Ronayne is there, who's our PR guy and our marketing guy, who's really helped out with the defense. Now we bring in John LaFontaine this year, who he's got credentials all across the board, being with Muskegon last year in the USHL. Got a lot of experience. We all have our bits and pieces that we bring to the table. Different coaching philosophies, but we've been able to, like you said, work cohesively, making everything happen, and right now it's working for the first month.
It's incredible, Scott, because I think a lot of times, people would hear something like that and say that's a recipe for disaster. But honestly, when you watch Cranbrook play, when you see you guys, I guess, commiserate with one another, it seems like it's working perfectly. You guys are all rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, it's sometimes you're not going to agree with the person every single time, but the way they explain it, whether it's myself or John or Dave or even Andy, we bring everything to the table. We talk about it and say, hey, this is the best option for our team. What do you guys think? We do a lot of video. We do a lot of schematics and everything like that. And so far, knock on wood, it's been running smoothly, like you said.
Scott Locke kindly joining us here. Scott, let's talk a little bit about the team right now. 6-3 overall. I tell this to everybody. Cranbrook is one of those schools. I think you could say the same about a lot of teams in the MIHL. Pay no attention to the record. Really. When you're playing the type of schedule that you do, not only the MIHL schedule, but outside of the MIHL as well, it really doesn't matter. It's all about getting you battle tested. But 6-3, pretty darn good record. You've won a couple of straight against Brother Rice. You knocked off Rice 2-1. Gabriel Richard 3-2. What jumps out to you about this team?
I think our team chemistry. The boys really buy into it. They like each other. They're playing for each other. We're opportunistic. We score some goals when we need to. Our goaltending has been pretty solid, and our defense has been better than I originally thought it would be. But so far, so good. We talked to the kids the other day. 9 games in, I asked them the other day, all right, is there any team that scares you so far? Like we lost to Trenton, we lost to Stevenson, all close games. We lost to Orchard Lake, very close game. So does any team scare you right now? You can play with every team. You've proven it. I go, but on the flip side, we have 6 wins. I said any of those teams could beat us any particular night. So I think that's high school hockey this year. Anybody can beat anybody every single night, and it's fun to come to the rink and see the games.
I guess the MIHL as well as anybody. You've been a part of it for so long now, whether as a head coach or an assistant coach. This really is a grind. How do you even put into words? I think the way you explained it's a pretty good way, but if you could expound on that, how do you even put into words what it's like in the MIHL? Because, Scott, really the term on any given night is thrown around too easily. But when you're playing an MIHL schedule, any given night is reality.
Right. You're battle tested at the end of the year, and that's what we look at. If we go 500 in the league, okay, so be it. We're ready when it comes regional time to play our schedule. So battle tested it's an understatement, I think, in this league because it's a grind every single night. And if you can, like CC's been able to do it, Cranbrook's been able to do it a few years, run the table, that's a pretty special season. You got to have a team pretty deep to be able to do that year in and year out. And, to come to the rink and have to play Brother Rice, to play Grosse Pointe South, UAD, De La Salle, Trenton. It just goes on and on. You're playing. We have an opportunity to play every team twice. All right, you don't have to, but we pick to play each team basically twice in the season just because we feel that they're better games for our guys to be prepared for the season.
Scott Locke kindly joining us, of course, does a fantastic job as an assistant out at Cranbrook. Scott, every year it seems come tournament time, the general consensus seems to be pick a division. Oh, Division I's a monster this year. Division II's a monster this year. everybody that I've talked to has talked about Division III. And it's not just the MIHL teams. There are landmines all over Division III this year. Something certainly I'm sure your team's aware of.
Yep, we are definitely aware of it, believe me. So we talked about it prior to obviously coming on the air here. You look at the teams that came down, UAD came down, we came down, Grosse Pointe South came down. These are teams that are coming down to Division III. And you look at the rankings, 10 to 15 teams can win a state championship or so. And any given night, we say again, but you got to have a good run. You got to stay healthy and be able to do it. It's a gauntlet in Division III this year.
I'm glad that you brought that up because you've won a couple of state titles back-to-back for people out there that didn't know at Grosse Pointe North, 01 and 02. Grind, gauntlet, whatever the case may be, so many things have to go right. I don't care how good your team is. So many things have to go right for you to win a championship.
Mm-hmm. It does. When I was at Grosse Pointe North, we were in Division II at the time, and our region consisted of Brother Rice, De La Salle, U of D, Grosse Pointe South, Grosse Pointe North, and Berkeley at the time, who was a top 10 team at that time. After you got done with your region, it was pretty much a cakewalk after we got done with our region because it was so hard compared to what the rest of the state was, and it made it easier for us. But that's how it is this year. This area is loaded. Down out west, there's a few teams that are loaded. Okay, let's throw Calumet, Hancock, and Houghton all together that have to only one team can come down, unfortunately, in their bracket, but they get a gauntlet every year to come down here. So, downriver, there's some teams that can win it. So this year in Division III, it's going to be a battle all the way through.
It's interesting. Part of the reason we wanted to have Coach Locke on is he's involved in something that we really wanted to get some more information out there in regards to this. Over the summer, I had a chance to go out to Plymouth Arena and went out there a couple times in the spring and into the summer. For people out there, Coach Locke, that aren't aware of the MDHL, explain to people what's going on because this is such a great thing. And I'll tell you what, on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, 85 degrees out. There's no place I'd rather be than inside the rink. But Saturday afternoon, watching some of the best in Michigan high school hockey play. But let people know about the MDHL.
Yeah, the MDHL is the Michigan Development Hockey League, obviously. It's been going on. I think we've been having the league for 14 years. Prior to that, we did some select tournament teams that went to Minnesota, played Shattuck St. Mary's, went to Prospects, played in the North American Hockey League Junior Showcase at one time. It's been going on. It's the elite players in the state of Michigan that all come down. They try out. They play in the league. They have high-end games every weekend. It's loaded with scouts every weekend. They come down and so the kids get the exposure. It gets them game ready and to develop their skill level to be ready for the season. They play 1 to 2 games a weekend. It's all at one location. We have a West Side team that comes down every weekend. Their bench is full. They have, great commitment level up there at the West Side. We've included the UP teams. So that's when we come out, we actually know who the best players are from the West Side, from the up north, from downriver, from, Macomb area, whatever like that, because they come to the MDHL and hoping to be on a tournament team or hoping to be in the league to move on and get the exposure. And we've been fortunate over the years to have really high-end players, guys that get drafted in the NHL, guys with college commitments, guys that play in junior in the junior leagues, in the USHL and North American League and other leagues. But it's ran by Bill Burns. It's a great league. I would recommend anybody who is serious about hockey that really wants to move on to that next level, to get your teams, your players ready for the season, to come and get involved. We've asked many coaches to get involved. One thing that I take great pride in, there's been many players that we've had that have come back and now are coaches in the league. C.J. Pober from the west side of the state who was at CC, Phil Wendecker, Kirk Kavisto. I mean, there's guys that want to get involved in the league and help out players because the league has helped them throughout the years. So that's what we take great pride in. And, it's great. We'd love to have more people come out and stay involved in it.
Yeah, it's not shinny. Trust me. I mean, these guys aren't going out there. They're going after it. Saw a very entertaining game one Saturday afternoon last spring. Scott, I want to talk to you. You brought something else that piqued my interest. I know you've done some scouting in the past and stuff like that. The amount of scouts that are at events like this, or just out at games, it is amazing to see how many guys are watching high school hockey now. I mean, I always like to get this out there because, there has been a narrative, you know it as well as I do, well, maybe high school isn't the best road to take. The scouts, if you can play, they're going to find you.
Oh yeah, I mean that's their job, right? They're going to find the diamond in the rough. They're going to, go to places where they see enough hockey at one location where it's easy for them to get reports to their team. I mean, people have come to, like, say, the MDHL, and Connor Hellebuck gets drafted right out of it. People like that. Even if you remember Nick Enos, who got drafted from Howell back in the day, he was one of the first goalies, first people to get drafted out of our league, out of high school hockey, to go there. So scouts are coming there every weekend. We have NHL scouts, college scouts, junior scouts. You come to good showcases during the season in high school, they're loaded up. It's at one venue. They come there. It's ran professionally. So that's what scouts want to see. They just want to find players. They don't care where it is. They want to find players.
One last thing before we go, and you lobbed me a softball, so I'm going to crush it now. But you've been involved in the MIHL showcase down in Trenton. I mean, that's the Godfather, no doubt about it. Tip of the cap and everything. But I think one of the cool things around the state is all the tournaments that have started. You guys do one at Cranbrook over Thanksgiving weekend. Gaylord has a D3 challenge. Traverse City. It's really cool that you guys made the KLA MIHL showcase, if you will, tournament, whatever you want to call it, happen. You guys have a big game coming up this week against Plymouth. Talk about that, from really the unlikeliest origins to making it happen. This is its second year. It's just great for the game.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Mitchell and I think Brandon Kalnicki started this together and tried to say, hey, let's put our two leagues together. One location, like we talked about, invite a bunch of scouts, get the marketing information out, have good games, obviously, because there's not going to be any, tough games. We kind of match them. I don't know if it's from the rankings from last year to this year, or they pick and choose. I actually am not involved with that portion of it, but I think last year there was, 5 or 6 games that were 1-goal games or whatever it was. And, I mean, it's just great. That's what we need. This weekend, we look for a challenge with Plymouth. They beat us last year, so we're looking for some redemption. I know the MIHL won the challenge last year, so the KLA is probably going to be a little upset about that and want to gain that little trophy back. So it's great, but it's a great opportunity for high school fans, high school hockey fans, that is, to come out, see one location, see all these teams play great hockey. Scouts will be there, so I look forward to it.
If you want to see the Cranes in action, 4:45 Saturday afternoon at Eddie Edgar. They're going to be taking on Plymouth, two highly ranked teams. And Coach Locke, of course, will be there with the Cranes. Andy, the Cranes in mass, and certainly an all-star coaching staff as well. Coach, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Scott Locke kindly joining us here on the High School Hockey Report.